Filled with false ambitions and lured from the pathway of wisdom and virtue by evil temptations, the rulers of Atlantis decided one day to conquer the rest of the world. That was the beginning of the end of their glory and their history. In 9600 BC, Jupiter gathered his armies and told them he would not permit this warlike behavior of the Atlanteans to continue. Violent earthquakes and deluge-like floods occurred. As a result, Atlantis sank beneath the sea and disappeared, never to be seen again. This is how the story is told. The truth is that the seers had to disconnect Atlantis from an impending attack by the hostile alien presence. Partly historical and partly allegorical, the description of Atlantis conceals profound philosophical mysteries. If the sinking of the island continent of Atlantis is viewed from the realm of the archetypal, then its complete submersion into the sea is seen as the descent of rational intuitive intelligence, harmonized with universal order, into the chaotic divided delusion of mortal ignorance. Ignorancestry. As the mother of all metaphors, Atlantis, as an allegory, brings to mind the archetypal images of the fall of man from a divine to a mortal state. However, Atlantis most likely dates back eons before these scriptural allusions. I just want to go back and look at this paragraph real quick that I think I might have skipped before. This one here. The Atlantean wise men and women saw in the movements of the heavenly bodies the ever-present activity of the great architect of the universe. Among others, their descendants, the Pythagoreans, were often criticized by an ignorant world for promulgating doctrines of metempsychosis, transmigration of the souls. Those mystics, like the Atlanteans, believed the spiritual nature of man descended into material existence from the Milky Way, the seed ground of the souls, through one of the 12 signs of the zodiacal band of stars. In fact, they assigned 22 gates for the arrival of a soul on Earth. Back to this page 110 here. However, Atlantis most likely dates back eons before these scriptural allusions, the fall of man, as confirmed by modern geological, archaeological, and zoological findings that keep showing up. Yet the story of Atlantis is similar to the misunderstood account of the fall of man into the temptations of knowledge, signifying spiritual involution as a prerequisite to conscious evolution. How can we know and choose the good if we haven't tested and tasted evil? The esoteric and scientific knowledge of the Atlantis seer craft survived, but in fragments. Either via trade or cross-cultural exchanges of those times, the wisdom of Atlantis spread to other parts of the world. According to legend, when the spiritually illumined initiates, wise men and seers of Atlantis, realized their land was coming under the control of dark magicians who had left the path of light, dark side of the Force, the Empire, they fled to Egypt, South America, India, Nepal, and Scotland. Let me read that again. According to legend, when the spiritually illumined initiates, wise men and seers of Atlantis realized their land was coming under the control of dark magicians who had left the path of light, they fled to Egypt, South America, India, Nepal, and Scotland. They took with them their symbols along with their secret doctrines for the purpose of training and educating new civilizations in cosmic science. In the midst of the Atlantean program of planned world colonization and conversion, gigantic cataclysms sank their homeland. The Atlantean initiate seers who had promised to come back to their settlements never returned. And after the lapse of millennia, tradition preserved fragments of a fantastic account of gods who came from a place where now there is only the sea. South American, as well as other cultures such as those of Brittany and Tibet, or the American Indians and Nepalese, contain remnants of a great and lost civilization similar to Atlantis. No one knows with certainty about Atlantis. A single great mystery remains that has its origin in an era long past. It sheds light on Atlantis via its inherent scientific link, the Sphinx, and its many tetrahedron pyramids on the Giza Plateau in Egypt, reduced versions of the originals on Mars and Sirius, are time portals used by extraterrestrials as communication centers for their interstellar journeys. It has now been geologically proven that the Sphinx is older than the last ice age, and that there lies hidden from view a deep cavern or empty space beneath the front paws of the lion. A black disc-shaped starship is concealed in that space and will be discovered by 2020. Apart from this was written in 2007 and we're now in 2018. 20 times 18 equals 360, as I've said. Apart from the fabled image of feathered men who came from the seas or the skies, also known as UFOs, the mythology of all humanity contains reminders of the Atlantean Golden Age, the transcendence of their great wisdom, and the sanctity of their main symbols, the cross and serpent, along with the skull and bones. That they actually had come in space vessels was soon forgotten, for untutored minds considered even such primitive boats as the one Columbus sailed when he set foot on the Bahamas as supernatural. It is not hard to imagine the effect of an aircraft would have on people from a technologically unsophisticated society. The hidden Akashic records will be found and explained by the time Neptune is in Pisces around 2020. Atlantis was, is, and always will be the single most unresolved mystery of human history. Where was it? Where did it come from? And where did it go? What is it all about? All we had until now were sources, such as the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, or the historian Herodotus, who said man's fortune never abides in the same place. According to these sources, the Atlanteans lived eons before the ancient Egyptian civilizations that built the Sphinx and Great Pyramids, all lined up to mirror the dog star Sirius. Seriously. And the constellation of Orion. Aaron. Irony. Iran. Arian. Orion. Geologists have proven beyond reasonable doubt that the Sphinx is at least 12 millennia old, hence the lion's body, since it was built in the age of Leo. Explorers making other discoveries linked to Atlantis in the Puerto Rico Trench, the Bermuda Triangle, around Bimini Island in the Bahamas, off Cuba, and near the Azores, say they found traces of Atlantis below the pole caps. Nepal will reveal the transcript of its Atlantean consciousness. Atlantis existed long before the Sphinx. It mysteriously sunk below the surface of the earth and became known as the Lost Continent, after which other civilizations linked closer to us in historical time took over by bringing remnants of Atlantean esoteric knowledge to us. There were Mayan, Incan, Celtic, Druidic, Nordic, Hindu, Shamanic, Shaolin, Sufi, Zen, Tibetan, Chaldean, Babylonian, Assyrian, Aramaic, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, Hebrew, Essenes, and Hyperborean, along with other such schools of thought and secret societies as the Pythagoreans and the Knights Templars. Much of the true knowledge is hidden in the Vatican City's secret archives. The adventurous spirit of humankind, seeking knowledge and the stars, was carried into the Aquarian Age by men in golden suits who landed on the moon, and by the launching of instruments for observation, exploration, and discovery, such as Voyager 11, and out into the far reaches of the solar system, far beyond the orbits of Neptune or even Pluto's spheres. We are emerging from Kali Yuga and recapturing some of the glory that was Atlantis. Yesterday is gone. We can learn from it and try not to repeat its mistakes. Tomorrow is yet to come. We can control its manifestations only by the choices we make in the present moment. The now. Past and the future, now. The now is what counts, what we can shape, influence, and transform. Consider this as you interact with any system of high magic, be it the Viking runes, the Chinese I Ching, the Tarot, or the knowing of astrological alignments in motion, past, present, and future. Realize that you will foresee events and perhaps sequences of circumstances, people, or places. However, you will not see actual timelines or any distinction between past, present, and future. It will not happen because time is only an illusion. However persistent. As Einstein said, reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. A true seer understands that it is impossible to foretell the future, because all that can be foreseen are screenplays of possibilities. The concept of time is a creation and illusion of the human mind based on thought, because thought is time. It is an attempt to structure manifestations in the material dimension, the dimension. Did I mention that to you yet? It is a product of the collective subconscious prison of human experience from which we would now free ourselves. Time is non-existent to the cosmic mind and irrelevant to the human mind that is in tune with spirit. In order to be open to the light and knowledge of the Aquarian age, we must relearn much of what we previously thought to be true. As Yoda said, "Unlearn what you have learned, you must." We must relearn much of what we previously thought to be true, including our concept of space-time. We must remember what was once known. A few pictures are worth millions of words regarding the human psyche or its origins on planet Earth. The pictograms, archetypes, symbols, and dreams are travels of the soul that have been recorded in one form or another ever since reptiles started walking on two legs, as was told in the sagas about the men from the seas. Caves filled with mysterious petroglyphs, tombs of secrets built all over this planet, show us what kind of fears and hopes preoccupied our ancestors, our ancient stars, Ankh stars. And might they be the wise druids and savant sages flown in from other galaxies? Was Atlantis constructed by, or with the aid of, high-tech space beings? Or was it a magnificent story written by Plato, a hallucinatory dream originating with an Egyptian pyramid? You now know the answer. You now know. Kano. We, the Atlantean seers, who left you this crystal tablet from beyond time, came from the stars. We are your future. The people who populated the civilization of Atlantis had an intelligence far greater than yours. Atlantis was founded by beings from other star systems. The mystery of the building of Atlantis is similar to the uncertainty concerning the origins of the Tarot. We have now the proof in the form of symbols, signs, and glyphs recorded as divination systems in ancient Egypt, all of which are reminiscent of the Atlantean oracles. We know that the symbols used by Atlantean seers were given to them by extraterrestrial intelligence, and they were ultimately of cosmic origins. You may ask this: is human history predestined? If it is predictable, do we have the freedom to change or affect the outcome? Enlightened scholars and philosophers of all ages have attempted to discover answers to these questions. Seeking illumination through time and the study of recorded mythology, ancient scriptures, tablets, scrolls, and books, they found no answer. Some fear-based intolerant belief systems designed to control the human mind teach that it is blasphemous or satanic to predict and change the future, to delve into mysteries such as life after death and reincarnation, to consider lives we may or may not have lived before this present one, or the lives we will live in the future. Now you know that you must know the answer to these questions. The answer is written in the stars. You must know now. Hare Krishna. Aloha, hallelujah, namaste, aloha, om shanti.